Hello and welcome. It's Jenny from A Stamping Journey. Thanks for joining me today. You might have seen cards around with this darling donkey stamp set, I'm sure. It is so cute. I love these little guys, and this stamp set is what we use to make today's project. So I hope you'll hang around with me. Just remember that all these products are available in my online store. If you're in Australia, I would love you to shop with me. If you have a long wish list, as I know many of us do, the best value is to join Stampin' Up and join their family. And it's such great value and great discount that you get on your products. If you're in Australia, I'd love to welcome you to the Gen Zinc team. We have a lot of fun together. If you're watching on YouTube, all the links will be below. And if you want to see more videos on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified. So let's get creating with this darling donkey stamp set. It's available for Sale-A-Bration. So it's one of those level 1 stamp sets that you can receive with your orders, with your qualifying orders. So in Australia, that's over $90. Isn't it just the cutest though? Let's see what we create today. So I'm going to be creating a part flap fold card. So we'll just put that stamp set aside. You'll want your base card. In Australia, it's 21 centimeters by 14.8, scored at 10.5. That's in our metric measures. In Imperial, you want it at 8.5 by 5.5 and score it at 4.25. You will also need a piece of white card, which I measure about 4 millimeters, a little bit smaller, or 1/8 of an inch. You'll also need a piece of designer series paper, which is another 4 millimeters smaller. And you have your piece of Whisper White, and you have a piece of Bumblebee and scrap red card. So let's get making and creating with it. Now we'll bring in those stamps. What we want to do first is using our white card. I've already cut it to size, and you'll get our cute little donkey. Where is the stamp? Let's bring that in. This one, there we go. We need the ink pad. We're going to use the Memento because we're colouring with the Stampin Blends, so we do need to use the Memento, which is a water-based ink. If you use StazOn or something like that, it's alcohol-based, and it will react with the alcohol in the blends. So use this cute little guy that's got the rose in his mouth, and just stamp that in the center of your piece of white. And we're going to color it. So what I'm using is the Crumb Cake, light and dark. We're using Soft Suede, Poppy Parade, Old Olive, and Petal Pink. So we've got a few colors there. Firstly, I'm just going to use the light of the Crumb Cake, and you can just use the brush tip end and just go around his body a little bit, just carefully down his legs where it gets a bit narrow. If you want to use the fine tip there, that's probably a good idea. And go around his jawline there. You can just put in a little bit more colour in his body. On his head, I'll try and do this quickly because it can be a bit like watching paint dry, me colouring in, but I hope to give you a couple of tips along the way. So you can always go back and add colour too if you're not completely happy. Alright, so now we're going to use the dark and just add a little touches to it. So we're going to go over that mark there. I love that the images have a few lines, so use them as guide. We're going to go around the bottom of his body, under his neck, because you'll get a bit of that shadow line happening there. So that's a good area to do the dark. Touch of his ears, and I'm going to just add a bit of colour to his mane there. Touch down the bottom of his feet, just around his muzzle there. So just go back with the light again, and sometimes it's a bit of back and forward with your colouring. To blend that colour out, just to give a bit more definition. Add a few streaks more, blending up those ears. Don't forget around there. Okay, now I often use petal pink to colour his ears and his muzzle because it's just a softer colour. So we're going to use the light colour, and I'm going to use the light tip there. And inside his ears, that'll be a good little place to add the pink. Add a bit of dark down the bottom tips, just a bit around there. And you can go back and blend that if you want. All right, with the rose, we're just going to add a bit of the dark around the outline there and go back with the light colour. I'm only going to use the fine tip because it's such a small area. It's much better to use a fine tip of your brush so you don't go out the lines as much. All right, and we're going to add the dark for the leaf just in a couple of spots. All right, it's starting to take shape. All right, I wanted to use the soft suede on his hooves there. Just adds a bit more darker colour. I'm going to add a little touch up there in his mane. You can have a few highlights there. Add the light to blend it through. There we go. Isn't he a cutie? You can't not be happy when you see him, right? All right, so with our piece of white, I'm just going to stamp the other donkey there, just off the corner. So this one's the little cute donkey. He looks a bit sad sometimes, but we're just going to use a little bit the top part of him, just down in the bottom corner, and you'll see why once we finish the card. And we're going to just add some colour to him too. So once again, let's bring in our crumb cake. I'll do this as quickly as I can so you're not going to get too bored here watching me. Go down his ears. Not too much of the body that we have to colour this. We can add some dark highlights here. Touch up the top of his ears there. Looks funny sometimes when you're adding just a couple of little spots, but the trick is when you come with the lighter colour and go back over it and blend those colours, it doesn't seem so streaky. Bring out his nose, add a bit more up here. Even going over the light, we'll add a bit more depth of the colour there. Go over the top there. and blend that colour. All right, and let's need the petal pink as well, and to go over his. How cute is that little smiley face on his muzzle? Add a bit more. The dark. There you go. A happy little donkey. All right, so we have done all the colouring. Let's get these blends out of the way. Now I'm just going to stamp. I've got a piece of the red that we used. We're going to stamp a sentiment on there. And I'm actually going to use, let's have a look. Hey there, friend. This is from the stamp set. All the sentiments we've got. Hey there, friend. We're going to use It's Your Birthday and hee-haw. So let's just, firstly we're going to stamp this on the red. I think I want that a little bit darker. The good thing is it's got another side. You can always turn it over. Press it down a little firmer. Gets a little bit more crispier stamped image. All right, oh, before we put our black away, I'm going to add It's Your Birthday. I hope we haven't got too far out of the frame. Sometimes you get a little carried away and you get out of the frame of the camera. All right, adding It's Your Birthday there, and add hee-haw there. All right, we're finished with our black now. Let's get that, move that over. I just want to add a little more of the crumb cake here because I'm going to add a bit more colour to it. You can add in more and more as you go, just so it's not such a big white patch on there. But that's a good thing. You can always come back after you've had a look at it. Now, we want to cut this out, and I'm going to use the messages die from this. I really love all the different banners that you get in this die. It's just one big die, so you've got to be careful running it through. This won't fit in your mini die cut machine, but it'll fit through the regular one. And you could use this for a couple of different, with a couple of different ones of these sentiments, which is really cool. So you can choose which one you'd like. I'm going to actually use that. So I'm going to run and cut that out on my machine. Okay, so now I have cut our little sentiment out with this. I like how it's just slightly scalloped. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just a nice little rectangle shape. Now, while we're talking about the messages die, I just wanted to show you, I shared this recently, but I have actually, when you get this mini messages stamp, it's not the sentiment we're using for today, but I wanted to show you. I loved all the sentiments. But it wasn't until I got it that I actually realised it's one full stamp. The images are at 80% on the front of this. And I wanted more flexibility so that I didn't have to stamp the whole thing if I just wanted one sentiment. I didn't want to have an excess of sentiments hanging around. So what I've actually done is cut the stamp. So I shared this recently, so I won't go too much into it, but I've put the label on first, and then from the rubber side, so this side up so I can see around it, I cut each of the stamps up. And I find it so much more useful because I can just get one stamp out, stamp it only one time. I don't have all this excess. So I thought I'd just share that tip with you while we're talking about messages. So let's get back to this card though. I've got my sentiment. Now I also cut a frame, the scallop frame, from Bumblebee card, and this is using the Stitched So Sweetly dies, the smaller frame. Let's have a look. This is the set, and it's actually the larger of the scallops. So I just cut that out for you as well. So we've got all our pieces. We've got our piece of designer series paper, our stamp ones. Now let's bring our paper trimmer in. I wanted to show you something. Now you have your standard card base, which we talked about before. You're actually going to score this. Now with your trimmer, be very careful. Get that little cutter blade out of your way. You don't want to use that at the moment. Bring in the grey one, or your scoring blade, or you can use a bone folder like I've got here to run down in the tracks. Whichever way you like to score your card. You are going to score it at 3.5 centimetres or 1 3/8. So let's just move that along here. I'm going to move it, because I'm in metric, I'll move it along to 3.5 centimetres, or you would do the 1 3/8. Right, so we are going to score using our light grey one. So you have this extra strip there. Now while we've got the trimmer, what we want to do is cut a section off this. So I'm going to cut off 3.1 centimetres, or it will be 1 1/4 inch. So let's just slide that along to 3.1 there. This time we can bring in our darker trimming blade. So then you have the two sections. All right, move the trimmer out of the way. So we have our card base. What you want to do then is fold this scored edge that you have just done. Just fold it back. I'll get my bone folder again. I like to burnish the fold so it's a little more crisper. So just fold that down. Now we're going to glue it all together using the multi-purpose. So then that little wiggle room. Use this paper I'm using is from the Flower and Field Designer Series paper. This is also a Sale-A-Bration choice, and I love the prints in it. There are some darker prints, but I love the tiny floral images. You've got the flowers on one side, and on reverse you've got a different pattern. Alright, so now we're going to just add a little adhesive, run that along here. You're going to put that on this one, this section here. Now I could use the same print and put it there, but I think it looks great to have a variation. So just give that a little flip over. Now another tip for you. Sometimes when you cut on the reverse side, you get that little ridge. I don't know if you notice it. It really annoys me. But what I do is I just run down the edge with your fingers and it flattens that out. So I don't know if you can see that little ridge there. So I just run it along and it will just flatten it down so it's not so noticeable. All right, so this time you want to add your adhesive to the back of that print. So it's going to be the opposite side of what you used before, which is facing up, rather. That was confusing, wasn't it? I didn't say that too well. Right, stick that down there. Just press firmly so it's stuck. Now where's our little stamp guide? Now we didn't finish stamping up. What I wanted to use is that little star or snowflake stamp that's in the set, and I'm going to use the Bumblebee. Just a gentle tap because it's only a small stamp. You don't want to press too heavy to get the shadow line. Very lightly, I'm just going to stamp up across there. Down the bottom corner too. While I've got it, I'm going to stamp on the inside piece too. Just up around there. We missed a bit, but we won't worry about that this time, will we? All right. So you're going to adhere this stamped white card onto your bumblebee die cut piece. Just run that around. Now, if you can't remember the measurements, don't stress too much. I'll be posting it on my blog post when I finish, or I'll add them in the comments. Or you can go back and read it. All right, so now I'm going to add our inside piece. And that's just going to get glued inside. I just want to flatten that down a bit so it's easier. That's why I like the multi-purpose glue, because I can just slide that to make sure that it's lined up. All right, so here we have our fold back. That's why it's called that. I think I called it a fat fold before, but all right, so now the important thing is when you are sticking this down, you only want to glue the section on the back in this middle section here, because you don't want the whole piece glued down. So just run a line of glue with your Tombow just down the center at the back there. Line that up, position it. There you go. I'll hold that down. Now, I just want to put some dimensionals on the back of our little Hey There friend. And that's going to go down the bottom corner. There we have it. I think it calls for bling. Not many of my cards are finished without bling. So we're just going to add a little rhinestone up the top there. Let's put our glue on this lid on the glue. So there you go. Hey there, friend. It's your birthday. Eehaw. How cute. So this is our part flat fold card, if I get it right. I made another one recently, which I wanted to show you. This is one using the Touch of Ink stamp set, and inside I added the flowers. Same principle. This is the blooms paper, I think, and I reversed the print on it to get the different patterns. So I hope you like this cute little donkey card. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, all the links will be below and I'll add the measurements. But I hope you can get this darling donkey stamp set because he's so cute. So thanks for stopping by and I'll catch you soon. Bye.